union strength comes from the collective bargaining only is there when people are required
Forced.
to join.
Larry, George Washington.
Simon, yes, yes. If people are forced, then they have the power to force a collective bargaining contract.
If people are forced. I want everyone, because I'm busting your chops.
Go ahead, no.
To play that tape of you saying, if people are forced, because those are the words I just heard. Let me tell you something, Larry. Our human history is replete.
It's semantics.
Is replete
Go ahead.
with examples of individuals and organizations that would grow their worth on the back of someone else's liberty, and it has never been right, and it will never be right. This country was founded on the premise
of people's liberty.
This country was founded on the premise of individual liberty. And that is where we need to focus. The rights belong to the individual before they belong to the collective.
Simon, I actually see your argument about public unions, whether can a group strike when they are shutting down public transit, school systems, and public utilities. Should that type of worker be allowed to strike? That is a very serious question that I don't think is considered enough. But the whole idea of someone being forced to join, whether it's a private company or a public company, because when the amount of benefits that a union gives to the entire group, whether they join or not, they should be required to, as Pat Gillespie said in that interview, contribute to the same benefit. Listen, we can agree to disagree here.
I'll tell you why, because the bill that I just
disagreement.
But no, but you're not understanding. The bill that I agree that a union should not have to have free riders. Oh, I agree with that. The union should only represent its members.
But isn't the only benefit that a union, let's go over the benefits that a union brings. It brings the amount of wages, benefit package.
Great, then someone will join and pay the union, won't they?
And the right to arbitrate disputes.
That's fantastic as a sales pitch. No problem making a sales pitch. If Sally Smith decides, thanks for the sales pitch, I want to negotiate my own contract, don't make her join the union. Don't represent her. I'm not saying that unions should represent people for free. No, 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 no. The bill that I'm working with State Representative Jerry Knowles on basically says, if you don't join the union, because that's your choice, you don't get union representation, therefore you don't pay union dues.
Do you understand? Then there's no power behind a union strike. You have all picket jumpers, and then a union can't negotiate a higher wage for the group. Then there is no power in collective bargaining, and then what you have is wages that are probably 50% less for the whole group.
Right. So this issue, what you're talking about, is what the union bosses say. They basically say, we do the best work and get the best benefits and pay and salary and all of that stuff when we can force people. And if you believe, not you, Larry, but if anyone watching this believes that you should be able to force someone that wants to negotiate for themselves, doesn't want anything to do with the union, that you should force that person into a union as a condition of employment, I don't know what to say, other than I think George Washington and Thomas Jefferson would disagree.
I understand this right to work legislation pending that you support.
Absolutely. I've spoken at press conferences. I do support right to work. Let me just say this.
Clarified for all.
It's really simple. It's really, really simple. Your name is, let's give you a name, Sally Smith.
Wait a minute, I'm confused.
and you want to be a school teacher. And you go to the school district and they say, we'd like to hire you. And then some guy from a union comes down the hallway after you've signed
Sally says no, that we got. Sally says, I got it, go away.
Sally, the union boss says, we do great things. You're going to get so much more money and benefits if you sign the membership form. We need a law that will empower Sally to either sign the membership and say, oh, thank you very much, I'm coming in, right? That's fine, I don't have a problem, join the union. Oh, but we need an equal right for Sally to say, no, I don't want to join your union, which means under the law I'm supporting, she wouldn't get the union salary or benefits either. She would go negotiate herself. If you're not a union member, the union shouldn't be representing you. You should be representing yourself. If you choose.
All right, well, what I see this issue to be is that in existence in a public sector right now, the amount of money that union package is, it's a pretty strong package. It's like a higher rate. It's like, let's say, just for argument's sake, it's like $60,000. It's 4 weeks off, and it's actually somewhat burdensome for school districts and taxpayers. As a school director, for you, as you see it, is somewhat burdensome.
Yeah.
And that, you know, in your opinion, you would suggest that it's too high as unions negotiate for.
Right.
But what I'm suggesting to you is, if Sally leaves that union...
I'm Sally now. You're the union boss. Talk to me like I'm Sally.
All right.
You're telling me we're going to get you more money?
You are going to get money. You have to strike with us. That is the catch.
Yeah.
If you go on your own, here's what you're going to do. If we strike, you're going to be able to work. But instead of $60,000, instead of this great benefit package, you're going to only get paid something less. Probably, you might be able to answer this better than I can, Simon.
No, call me Sally. Sally. You're union boss.
If you disagree with my facts, as Larry and Simon, you have to correct me if you think it's a bad hypothetical, because I want something that are going to agree.
I want
Simon?
you to be union boss Larry. I'm Sally Smith, and I've walked in the door, and I've just been hired the day before.
Okay, pause. Simon, if you disagree with my hypo, you have to quickly say, because I'm not trying to win an argument here.
No.
I want us to set up the issues for our viewers.
Let's have a hypothetical so we can see the issue.
You pause if my hypothetical is not acceptable to you.
Okay.
All right. You're only
Call me Sally.
Sally.
Union boss. Union boss Larry. I'm Sally. I just got hired yesterday.
Sally, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm happy.
You're the ugliest woman I've ever seen in my life.
I'm happy to be a new employee of the school district. Union boss Larry. What do you want to talk to me about?
Let me repeat.
Okay.
Come with us.
Yep.
You're going to have to strike with us. You're going to get 60,000. Okay. You're going to get a month.
Yep.
A month off a year.
Okay.
You're going to get. They're not going to be able to fire you except for very limited issues.
Pause. Union boss Larry. Question. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sal.
Thank you for your sales pitch. There's a law called tenure that even if I don't join the union, I'm still going to be protected by the law.
No.
Why are you above the law? I thought the law protects employees, all employees. Doesn't it, Larry? Union boss?
There is no. If you are not protected by the collective bargaining agreement, it's called at-will employment.
No, Larry. Union boss Larry, you're simply wrong. I've watched Simon's videos. I've learned about state law. Tenure, the ability to have a job for life, has nothing to do with union status. Nothing. Whether you're in the union or not in the union, you get tenure after, I think it's 3 years. Doesn't matter about the union. I know you love the union boss Larry, but you got to sell me on something more than tenure, because I'm already going to be covered by it.
All right, Sally, that works.
Yes.
That works.
What else have you got, union boss? Sell me.
For the first 3 years,
Yep.
this would apply.
No, Larry. I've read your collective bargaining agreement. Your union boss collective bargaining. There's nothing in that collective bargaining agreement that would protect me as a unionized employee compared to a non-unionized employee in terms of my job protection. Nothing.
Well, then how about the extra $20,000 a year? For 3 years, you still would have $60,000 that you wouldn't otherwise have, plus 3 months with your family that you wouldn't otherwise have.
You're talking financial things. I do have to put food on the table, union boss Larry. I do. So what was that again? You were telling me I'm going to get how much more? Tell me about 20,000 more. You think, union boss?
For argument's sake, yes.
20,000.
Per year.
And how do you know that, union boss?
That is what our contract that we just signed some short time ago.
Yeah, it's interesting because before I got hired, I was talking to the building principal, and thank you for selling me on how it's going to be more financially beneficial for me. Here's the thing, like, I've got a doctorate degree. I've got the most unbelievable references you've ever seen, and in fact, I was just talking to the superintendent down at the coffee house the other day. He said if I was allowed, union boss, to negotiate on my own, because he has a real shortage of math teachers, he'd be willing to pay me $10,000 more than the union rate. So while I appreciate your argument, union boss, and I thank you for selling me, I would actually prefer to represent myself and get $10,000 more.
But Sally, that doctorate degree you actually got from a phony online institution that's not worth, that you only got it in 3 weeks. It's only a certificate doctorate degree. So they would say, find that out and do a background check. You will learn that it's not worth the print.
Now you see, union boss Larry, now you're feeling a bit threatened by my skill set, aren't you?
All right.
You're feeling a bit worried that I might be better than other math teachers that get paid the same, even though they're crap teachers.
All right.
Don't you think Larry, don't you?
Simon. So your point, listen again, your point is that there is each doctorate, this is unfair to the doctorate teachers who want to negotiate a higher deal, but in the union scale, teachers with doctorates are already getting paid a lot more.
Suppose I don't have a doctorate. Suppose I'm just the best freaking teacher in the world.
The collective bargaining agreements, as they're done now, the pay scale is set by standard. It's by education.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? Listen, what do you think public school parents care about? Do you think they care about union pay scales?
Hold on a second.
You know what they care about?
Do you really think?
Whoa. They care that they have the best freaking teachers in front of their kids. Let me tell you, that's what they care about. They don't care where they got the degrees from. They don't care whether the teacher's old, young, middle-aged, or in between. They don't care. They want their kids to come out of that math classroom knowing more about math than when they went in there. That's what they care about. And what we need, Larry, union boss, and I love you dearly for selling me your stuff, is the ability of individuals to choose for themselves whether they think your services, Larry, union boss Larry, are good for them.
But you're going to be and if you're making $20,000 per year less, how is that good with less benefits?
Yes.
And the only thing that you are obligated to do is strike.
Yes.
And deal with representation, and you don't have to pay an attorney or go by yourself.
Yes.
How is this benefiting you?
Okay. So what you really want, Larry, let's supposing I just
it's union boss Larry.
Union boss Larry. Let's supposing I'm actually okay. Let's supposing you're right. And I'm actually okay making 20,000 less. Let's just play devil's advocate. I'm okay with it, me personally. Not you, union boss Larry. You want the 20 more. Is it okay with you if I negotiate on my own for 20,000 less? Would you mind?
Sally, on your resume, I note that you come with troublemaker on your resume.
I do.
I notice you come with agitator and troublemaker on your resume.
Yes.
You need me more than the average person.
Exactly. See, I love how you are the stereotypical union boss. You're going to have Delaware County union bosses going, Larry, you're explaining yourselves as we are. Everyone else is like, yes, why can't people choose? This is America, Larry. Why do you want to run my life?
You need me.
Exactly.
All right, now we're ready to cut.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so the issues. The issues, I see them, and I want to know if you agree.
I gotta get a copy of this thing. This is the best, debate with a hypothetical union boss.
I hope so. You still haven't answered one question.
Go ahead.
The right to work legislation that you support. You're saying that anyone who wants to work for an institution has a completely different pay scale, meaning it's a negotiation from scratch, that if they join a school district and every union member has their own, this is what you're proposing. And that
I'm proposing that
which is completely hypothetical. We're having a scholarly discussion right now.
We are. I'm proposing that every American citizen, just like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson proposed it, shall have the right in law to decide for themselves what is in their own best interest.
They are going to have, the school districts are going to make less money available to them if they don't have a collective bargaining agreement to...
How do you know? I'll tell you right now. We
know from what governments are doing in healthcare.
Let me,
Simon, or can I call you Sally?
Okay. Union boss Larry, you hate children. Now ask me why.
Hold on, I didn't want to argue.
No, we need to have a good argument because you're not getting
Simon,
it's freedom.
Can we have a discussion without arguing?
We have to argue. This is why I do it. Did you not read my intro? I'm a troublemaker. I'm an agitator. If I'm not agitating union boss Larry,
I am a peacemaker.
Yes, because you're a Democrat. You want everyone to hold hands. We can't do that. We have to talk about the issues. Now here's the thing. Let me finish my point.
I know plenty of Republicans who hold hands.
I'll hold your hand if you'll shut up for a minute. Now listen to me. Aside from the freedom of choice issue, I will tell you for a fact and I say this is common sense, and you can maybe agree with me on this, there are different forces of supply and demand for different teaching positions. Right? We have, in our public school districts, we have everyone from kindergarten teachers to librarians to high school math teachers to gym teachers. True? I can tell you categorically that when you have a vacancy, it depends upon what the position is that's vacant, determines how many applications you get. If there's a vacancy in a typical school district, and I asked, when I was on the school board, I asked the high school principal this, there was a vacancy for a gym teacher. They got 30 applications like that in 24 hours. If you want to get a
seller's market right now,
and you want, not just right now, the position. Whereas if you want a high school science teacher, there is not the same supply of available science teachers because the forces of supply and demand are different for different positions. Kindergarten teachers, elementary school teachers, for a number of people, it is often a second income. You have a primary income and someone that does that because they like the flexible hours. And so, and the forces of supply and demand for elementary school teachers are different. And we need to live in a world where our governments, our public school districts, operate like the private sector, where you can pay people more for positions where you need to attract more and less for where you have a glut of supply. The idea of everyone gets paid the same, the gym teacher gets the same as the science teacher, gets the same as the kindergarten teacher, is stupid.
That's what we do at the college level.
And that's stupid too.
No, what you're saying. Hold on, I'm saying something different. What you're suggesting is what's done at the college level.
Oh, you mean different forces?
Yeah, what you're suggesting.
Yes.
Okay.
It's common sense. If you have...
It's a very liberal concept, what you're suggesting.
Freedom is very liberal. I'm a liberal guy. These union bosses, they want to force stuff on people. They're not liberal like me.
I'm going to give you the last word, but I want to say, my impression of the discussion is, my take on this is that you have a very strong argument that strikes, septic strikes, teacher strikes, and strikes in a public entity
should be illegal. Illegal. Ban them. And if people do it anyway, fire them.
That's the Sally Smith. That is the Sally Smith way of putting things. I would say there's a better way. That we should, the public interest.
Flowery nonsense. You're not allowed to strike against the public interest. You're striking against the public. If you do it, you're fired. We'll find someone else.
There's a better way. That unions have negotiated a certain wage, but rather than a strike every 3 years, there has got to be a better way. Your argument that
you fire people that won't and hire them ones that won't strike.
That is your strong argument. That is the stronger of your argument. I'm going to give you the last word, Sally. I will give you the last word.
Let me say, Union Boss Larry.
Let me give you. This is no longer our debate. This is our wrap-up.
Oh, our wrap-up. Sorry.
This is our wrap-up.
Larry, thank you.
This is the wrap-up.
Stop calling me Sally.
Okay, well, you're right. I egged that on. I don't see this as constitutional choice when 99.9% of the time the employee are getting a benefit, hard-fought union benefits. Having said that, I do understand your point. It does not apply to the PhD science teacher or the only one who applies to a position and they could negotiate a higher deal, and I think that's the exception, not the rule. That's my take. Simon, last word, go.
You cannot dictate what is in someone else's best interest. You can make an argument for what's in their best interest, but the idea of forcing a union boss's opinion onto someone else and saying this is what's right and good for you and you have to take it is un-American, unacceptable, and the union bosses who believe in that need to be deported to China. And I will probably make a video after this and say I had a wonderful discussion with Larry, and it was very entertaining because this is actually very informative.
I look forward to seeing it. You actually have another issue that you are involved with, involving judges, I understand.
Oh yes, our judicial branch. I make right-to-know requests of all different branches of government, and one of them is the judicial branch. I make requests of courts for court records through the right-to-know law. And unfortunately, we have this administrative arm of our judicial system called AOPC. It stands for Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts. And they administer our court system. They're bureaucrats, if you will. And they've decided that our courts and our judiciary don't have to follow the right to know law. Now that sounds rather remarkable, doesn't it? That we would have one branch thinking of itself as exempt from something as obvious as the right to know law, which applies to all branches. So I'm currently in a legal dispute with AOPC at the Commonwealth Court, where I'm basically making the argument, it's very simple. You lot in black robes have to follow the law. It would be lovely if you did. We have a right to know law. It was passed by the General Assembly. You're not allowed to ignore it. So that dispute is currently pending. It's very entertaining. I'm doing it pro se without a lawyer. I'm hoping they'll grant oral argument so I can show up and shout at them.
And you actually did a video about that one. I know you did because I saw it. Did you take it down in case our viewers...
No, I think that one's still up there. Yes, it's Campbell versus AOPC. The judiciary want to say they don't have to follow the law. No, I'm thinking that you do, actually. This is America.
I agree with you. Simon, we've gone long, but I hope it was as entertaining for our viewers as it was for you and me, and I want to thank you once again for being a guest on Delaware County Political News, and I hope you'll be a guest again.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Larry. Good fun.
We have been here with Simon Campbell, troublemaker, agitator, and civic activist, and I am your host, Larry DeMarco. And if you like this video, please forward it to all the friends on your contact list and Facebook friends. And if you like my channel, please follow, like, share, and subscribe. We're signing off. Tune in next time. Bye for now.